to the Tech Panda Reviews. Today we are going to be reviewing the Nintendo DS Lite and the Nintendo DSi. One thing to note about the Nintendo DS Lite is it is smooth, which is nice. It is shiny, which is also another nice thing, but it is a finger magnet. They both have a 2.9-inch screen. I am not necessarily sure about the resolution. The resolution isn't that high because the DS is not that powerful to play those super high, crazy, small resolutions of 800 by 600 like the iTouch can. But the iTouch is a handheld music player. This is not. This is a handheld gaming device. So you can't really compare these two. They're the same. It does have one microphone and two speakers left and right, and they're pretty powerful enough where you can be gaming and feeling the vibration if it's turned up all the way, which is nuts because you would definitely want to be feeling the game while you're playing it. It has a headphone jack, so if you have your headphones and you don't want anybody else to be listening to you while you're playing, you can just pop that in, put it in, and have a good day. The on switch is just one flick and it turns on and then turn it off, compared to the DSi, which I'll get to later. On the front you will see a symbol for the Nintendo DS. On the back it gives you some basic information on who they are, specs about the device. The game does support old Game Boy games, so if you have an old Game Boy game you want to play, you just go ahead and slip it in the bottom. Or, if you want to play the new DS games, you can just slip it on the top. The Nintendo DS and the Nintendo DS Lite and the Nintendo DSi, both, or all three of them, have different chargers. So, if you and a buddy are playing a video game and you guys need to recharge, and the other one doesn't have the charger because he accidentally forgot it or something, you guys can't use the same charger to charge the DS Lite Nintendo DSi, and I don't have the original DS, so I can't show you that. They all come with a stylus. The first generation comes with a bigger, more clunky one, and the third generation is pretty much the same size as the old second generation one. The size comparison is pretty much just about the height problem. The pink one, which is going to the Nintendo's DSi, is a little bit bigger, but not by much. So you weren't going to see that. Another thing to mention is the volume up and volume down. I like it because it's just, you can just move it up and down, or left and right, and the sound will go up and down. Unlike the Nintendo DSi, where you have to push the button to go up and push the button down to go down. Now I can understand that this would also be a plus, because if you accidentally bump it or something while you're on the bus or something, you aren't going to increase the volume or lower the volume, so you don't miss something by accident. But it's also a negative, because if you're in the middle of a game and you really need to turn up that volume really quick or turn it down because you need to be paying attention to something, that can also be a downside, because it would take your fingers away from the pad, the D-pad and the on-off switch, or any of the A, B, Y, X buttons and start and select button. They both have two screens. The top screen is not touch sensitive, but the bottom one is. And pretty much everything I can tell you about the Nintendo DS Lite is pretty much on the Nintendo DSi, but not as sophisticated as the Nintendo DSi. So basically when you turn on, this is all that happens. Is that sound comes on and the logo comes on, and then it's over. Now I have something called the R4, which I bought when it was still legal, so I'm just gonna go ahead up and load up Mario Kart, and there's that. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you the Nintendo DSi now. Things to note about the Nintendo DSi: there are two cameras, one on the front and one on the back, the part you look at. The Nintendo DSi has I want to say a metallic feeling, not a shiny surface like this is. This is not a finger magnet, which is a plus, because you don't want to be sitting there cleaning off your fingers all the time. But like I said before, you're not going to be looking at the back, you're going to be looking at the front where the two screens are, so you can be playing your game. As mentioned before, the slot for the power is much different. I'll show you the comparison. The top one is much more wider compared to the Nintendo DSi, which is a lot more narrow, a lot more thicker. Something to note about the Nintendo DSi compared to the Nintendo DS Lite. The Nintendo DS Lite does have internet browsing abilities. Things to note about the Nintendo DS and Nintendo DSi. The Nintendo DSi has security, like for your router. The Nintendo DS Lite only supports WEP, which is a bunch of numbers, or 5 letters I think it was, compared to the Nintendo DS Lite, which is slightly better because it supports much more broad of internet browsing abilities and router security issues. So I'm going to go ahead and load this up. I'm going to press power, and basic, the same thing is going on, and I'm just going to tap the screen, and I'm going to go show you guys the camera now. So I'm going to load this up. So as you can see, the Nintendo DSi has a camera capability. So I'm going to go ahead and go into camera, and you guys can see the camera now, the camera that I'm using. Okay. So there's that, and now I'm going to go click normal, and then I'm going to go ahead and switch. Now you guys will be able to see the back of the camera. So my hand's in the back now, and now you guys can see that. Go ahead and check out my chair if you want. That's what I sit on. This is things that I focus on. Those are my lights, other such things. So that's a thing you can note about that. So I'm going to go ahead and go to quit. So I'm going to go ahead and take a picture. Capture. So now I got this thing. So I'm going to go to quit. And I'm going to go scribble. So I'm going to go ahead and go feed. Woo. It can get interesting if you guys take a cool picture. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to show you guys the other capabilities, like the sound thing. So I'm going to record and edit sound. I'm going to play the sound I made, that I created. I'm going to hit play. It's starting to record now, and I'm just going to continue to ramble on. The audio is pretty clear for technically a very small screen, so I'm going to go ahead and hit pause. I'm going to go ahead and change the pitch.
It's starting to record now, and I'm just going to continue to ramble on for a few seconds. I'm going to hit. That's starting to record now. Continue to ramble on for a few seconds.
It can be very fun at times. So I'm going to go ahead and close. I'm going to go to edit sounds. So I'm going to go to parakeet. So this can be a lot of fun if you're bored on the bus or something. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, and that's all I can show you about the Nintendo DS. Okay. One thing about the Nintendo DS is they're both Wi-Fi. Why